The Zarkathi Empire had conquered 1,742 planets. Their armadas left smoking atmospheres in their wake. And yet here they stood, staring in horror at a single man with a mop, whistling Sinatra while cleaning blood off the floor. The war on Drex 4 was supposed to be over. After 3 days of orbital bombardment and 2 hours of ground sweep, the Zarkathi High Command declared total dominance. Resistance, none. Survivors, irrelevant. They hoisted their black banners above the shattered city spires and began repurposing the ruins into staging zones. And then Earth sent a janitor. No military unit. No Envoy. No orbital fleet trailing clouds of vengeance. Just one human, stepping off a cargo shuttle, holding a bucket in one hand and a steel mop in the other. Zarkathi General Thranvek, whose personal record included the genocide of 4 sentient species, narrowed his compound eyes at the man's uniform. "Sanitary Corps?" he hissed. The human smiled. Not wide. Not smug. Just pleasant. "Diplomatic maintenance specialist, technically. You can call me Joel." Thranvek's antennae twitched. "We did not request human assistance." Joel shrugged. "Yeah, you folks look like you could use some cleaning. Blood dries nasty on alloy flooring. Acid-based, I hear? Bad for morale." He walked past the general, buckets sloshing gently. Command Center, 2 hours later. Captain Vesic, a younger Zarkathi officer with more ambition than experience, watched the human polish floor tiles with an odd rhythm, humming a slow earth tune under his breath. "You shouldn't be here," Vesic snapped. "This is a secure tactical hub." Joel didn't stop. "Then you might want to move the unsecured tactical blueprints off the break room table," he said, eyes fixed on the floor. Vesic followed Joel's gaze. A holographic battle plan flickered above an open console beside a half-eaten ration loaf. Joel glanced up. "Ever hear of OPSEC? Is that a human threat?" Vesic snarled. Joel laughed lightly. "No, it's just operational security. We're big on acronyms back home. Keeps things tidy." Observation deck, that night. Outside, Zarkathi ships orbited Drex 4 like patient predators. Inside, Joel brewed coffee in a repurposed engine lubricant warmer. Lieutenant Karex, a Ilarian diplomat with 4 doctoral degrees and 1 damaged foot from Earth's gravity, watched him warily. "You're not really a janitor, are you?" she asked. Joel sipped the coffee, grimaced. "Depends who's asking. You a tax auditor?" "No. Just a xenohistorian with a nervous gut. And instincts." Joel leaned back on a crate. "Well, instincts keep people alive. Speaking of, maybe tell your engineers not to wire a ventilation grid through an ammunition chamber." "Just saying." She blinked. "How would you even?" He pointed upward. "Smelled sulfur and hydrogen traces earlier. Probably a corrosion leak. Military-grade mistakes. I see 'em a lot. Why does Earth send someone like you?" Joel's gaze sharpened just slightly. Not hostile. Just focused. "Because no one panics when a janitor walks in," he said softly. "And when things go sideways, people remember the last person who was invisible." Morning, maintenance logs, entry number 1. Zarkathi logs marked a system's malfunction at 0700. Power fluctuations in Sector 3. Cooling unit offline. Internal AI error undiagnosed. Joel was seen in the hallway 5 minutes prior, tapping something behind a vent panel while muttering about per duct tape etiquette. When confronted, he responded, "Just fixing a squeak. Can't stand a squeaky floor. Like fingernails on a whiteboard, you know?" Zarkathi officers didn't know what a whiteboard was. Alien bar, that evening. The base's bar, repurposed from a weapons locker, was quiet. A few soldiers hunched over mineral alcohol and static chess. Joel walked in, mop in one hand, clipboard in the other. "Inspection," he said. "You're not security." Someone grunted. "Nope. I'm sanitation. But you'd be surprised how much gets swept under rugs. Not that you guys use rugs. Bit cold in here, don't you think?" No one replied. Joel strolled over to the storage room. What do we have here? Unlocked ammo crates next to heating coils. That's fun. A sergeant stood up. That's not your business. Joel turned, smile still in place. Everything's my business. Cleaning's about patterns. You learn a lot watching what people step over. General Thranvek's quarters, midnight. The door burst open. Human! The general roared. What did you do to our systems? Joel, half asleep in a bunk across the hall, opened one eye. I rerouted a few power feeds so your waste disposal units stop reverse venting into the kitchen. You're welcome. 37 turrets shut down mid-cycle. Orbital radar blacked out. You triggered a cascade. Joel sat up, stretching. That's not my department. I just clean. You're manipulating our base. He tilted his head. Then maybe don't connect your targeting firmware through an unshielded access panel labeled in BASIC. That's just asking for accidents. Thranvek snarled. You think this is funny? Joel stood, calm and steady. No, General. What's funny is you thought you ruled every Warzone, without ever wondering what happens when the person cleaning your floors knows more about your infrastructure than your engineers. Outside, the next morning, a Zarkathi fuel transport exploded on takeoff. Cameras showed a human figure near the launch pad 10 minutes earlier, crouched beside a junction box. When questioned, Joel replied, I was unclogging the rainwater system. You don't want puddles near volatile fuel cells, trust me. They reviewed footage. He wasn't lying. He had a wrench. He adjusted a filter. And yet, everything went wrong after. Zarkathi command meeting. He's destabilizing us from inside, shouted a commander. He hasn't done anything explicitly hostile, Karex interjected. He fixes pipes. Makes jokes. Drinks bad coffee. He's human, the old Ilarian general growled. That's hostile enough. Final scene, end of chapter 1. Joel walked the perimeter at sunset, mop over one shoulder, coffee in hand. The horizon burned with the orange glow of a distant explosion. Another accident. He took a sip, winced. Still tastes like engine oil, he muttered. Next stop, teach these guys how to filter coffee. Can't fix a war zone without decent caffeine. He tapped something on his wrist. A quiet beep echoed back. Far away, something massive hummed online beneath the crust of Drex 4. Joel whistled a slow tune as he walked back inside. General Thranvek hadn't slept in 40 hours. He stood at the command table, flanked by holograms of failing systems and red blinking status lights. Cooling towers offline. Supply routes jammed. An unexplained shutdown in drone-based sequencing. And somehow, in the middle of it all, mob tracks. Fresh. Perfectly aligned. Leading from systems control to the mess hall. You're telling me one janitor caused this? He hissed. No, said Captain Vesic carefully. We're saying there's no record of him doing anything. But systems fail where he walks. Cameras loop. Data fragments. Doors seal, behind him. Sabotage? Vesic hesitated. Not directly. No explosives. No overrides. He just cleans. And things break later. The general's eyes narrowed. He's not a janitor. Mess hall, midday. Joel stirred instant noodles into something that might have resembled soup. Beside him, Karex watched in silence. You cook often? She asked. He shrugged. Well, it's more chemistry than cuisine on Earth rations. But yeah. Keeps the hands busy. She leaned forward, whispering. You know what they're saying? That you're here to dismantle the command structure from within. He blew on the noodles. That's flattering. But I'm just here to clean up after your little war party. Then explain the signal spike. The reactor anomaly. The fact that the entire perimeter grid flickered right after you fixed a vending unit. Joel smiled faintly. Funny thing about grids. They're like people. You apply pressure in the right place. He tapped the bowl. And everything shifts. Control deck, later that day. The security team combed Joel's quarters. No weapons. No communication arrays. Just a duffel bag, half a pack of gum, a folded Sudoku book, and 2 mop heads. Vesic held one up. This has nanoweave coating. Military grade. What janitor needs this? Another officer found a journal. The cover read, Logistics notes, floor plans and pressure points. Inside, base schematics, hand-drawn, with circled valves, vents, and notes like, weak load-bearing support. Marked for polishing. Surveillance office, 1800 hours. The footage didn't lie. Joel wasn't breaking into anything. He swiped access cards he'd been given. He never touched classified panels. Never hacked. Never ran. Just moved. Calm. Friendly. In the background of every chaos. And the mop? It wasn't a tool. It was a disguise. A psychological blind spot. Barracks, 2,100 hours. A young Zarkathi engineer leaned over to his bunkmate. I saw him in the hangar, he whispered. He stared at a fuel pump for 5 minutes, and then the targeting systems failed. Coincidence? You ever hear the stories? The bunkmate replied. About humans? They smile while they plan. Outside, the next morning, a transport shuttle attempted to launch. Mid-air, the NAV system scrambled. It spiraled into a nearby hillside, no casualties, just wreckage. Footage showed Joe walking by 5 minutes earlier. He paused near the shuttle's cooling panel. Wiped something. Walked away. That's it? Asked Karex, watching the feed. Yep, said Joe from behind her. She jumped. How long have you? Long enough to see that someone forgot to de-ice the thruster ports. Bad habit. Frost creep kills alignment fast. Karex folded her arms. Why are you really here? Joel's tone didn't change. To clean up messes. She stared. Yours or ours? Command quarters, emergency briefing. Thranvek slammed his fist into the table. I want him gone. But we can't. Vesic started. Then make something up. Deportation, reassignment, a diplomatic misunderstanding, I don't care. Remove him. Vesic's screen blinked. He's already submitted a transfer request. Wants to visit your satellite uplink next. Says the antenna housing is dusty. Thranvek paled. He's going for our calm spine. Should I deny it? Absolutely. No, wait, if we deny it, he'll just find another route. Vesic lowered his voice. General, respectfully. I think we're already compromised. Thranvek sat down hard. Then we need a counter-strategy. Hangar, midnight. Joel stood alone, staring up at the night sky. The stars shimmered above Drexfor, indifferent to the chaos below. Footsteps approached. Karex again. You're not alone, are you? She asked. No one ever really is, he said. She hesitated. Are there more of you? Joel turned. You mean janitors? I mean, humans. His smile this time wasn't pleasant. There's always more. But usually, we just send one. Why? Because one's all it takes to remind everyone why we don't send armies anymore. Internal memo, redacted transmission to Zarkathi High Council. Subject continues to destabilize our infrastructure without violating protocol. No direct acts of war detected. But indirect disruption has reached operational critical mass. Planet-wide systems dependency now compromised. Morale among troops shaken. Rumors of ghost war persist. Suggested course, diplomatic retreat. Leave Drexfor. Claim resource depletion. Never engage humans in asymmetrical environments again. Final scene, Chapter 2 close. Joel walked into the reactor core bay. 2 guards watched him nervously. He nodded. Routine filter check. Coolant buildup's bad for reactors. Gets real smoky. They didn't stop him. He opened a panel, hummed something from the MASH asterisk theme song, and made a note on his clipboard. Somewhere behind the wall, Hidden to all but human eyes, the countdown began. Quiet. Subtle. Invisible. The cleanup had started. The Drexforce Central Command compound buzzed like an injured animal. Systems groaned under invisible pressure, rumors slithered through air vents, and trust decayed faster than coolant seals in the southern generator bay. Joel cleaned. He moved quietly, methodically, with the same indifferent rhythm he used on day one: mop, swipe, straighten, hum. Except now, people stared. They avoided eye contact. And always checked if anything shorted out 5 minutes after he passed. Briefing room, 0900 hours. The humans call it soft warfare, Karex said, standing before the brass. It's not bombs or lasers. It's entropy. Weaponized. General Thranvek tapped the table with one claw. He hasn't attacked. He hasn't broken a single law. He doesn't need to, she replied. He's pulling threads. Tiny ones. One at a time. Until the whole cloth collapses. A younger officer scoffed. You're saying a janitor is dismantling our military infrastructure with a mop? No, she said. I'm saying a tactician pretending to be a janitor is showing us why humanity doesn't need fleets. The room fell silent. Hallway near cryoarchive, 1030 hours. Joel stood beside a large vent, twisting a valve ever so slightly. Not enough to trigger an alarm. Just enough to cause condensation in a server room an hour later. Enough to create electrical interference. Enough to delay a decision. Karex appeared beside him. I want the truth, she said. Now. He didn't look up. Truth is subjective. No games, Joel. What's your real job? He straightened. Janitor. I clean things. Filth. Systems. Overconfidence. Empires. You're dismantling the compound. Only the parts that were already hollow. She stepped closer. Why? Joel tilted his head, voice low and oddly kind. To see what falls when you remove the illusion of control. Communications tower, 1,400 hours. High above the compound, in the thin atmosphere of Drexfor, the tower swayed unnaturally. Engineers scrambled to reinforce supports that had inexplicably loosened. No explosions. No sabotage. A single technician swore she saw a human polishing the maintenance panel a day earlier. No one believed her. Down below, a memo quietly circulated. Suspension of orbital broadcast relay recommended. Systems destabilized. Blame solar flare activity. Internally, everyone knew it was a lie. Barracks, midnight. Karex paced, sleepless. She replayed Joel's words again and again. Only the parts that were already hollow. It stuck in her mind like rust in a joint, quiet, irritating, and impossible to shake. Why send just one man? Why no demands? Why a mop instead of a bomb? Because a bomb explodes once. A janitor leaves damage disguised as maintenance. She called up footage of Joel's prior stops, Kepler 12, the Krillian outpost, the Tragathy belt stations. All of them, destabilized. Collapsed from within. Each mission recorded as support duty. Support, she realized, didn't mean assistance. It meant removal of support. Drexfor Command Bay, next day. Thranvek's voice echoed through the halls. Evacuate? We don't evacuate. We are the Zarkathi Dominion. Yes, said Karex. But we've already lost. He stormed toward the viewport. There's no war. No, she said quietly. There's only clean-up. He turned, confused. Karex continued. He never came to fight. He came to audit the battlefield. And he's found every flaw you tried to hide. He's letting the pressure collapse the system on its own. Thranvek's hands shook. Storage Bay 9 to 1,900 hours. Joel stood before an old, locked door labeled Atmospheric Waste Unit, decommissioned. He ran his fingers along the surface, found a hairline crack, and pulled gently. The panel slid open. Inside, A perfectly preserved auxiliary server chamber thrummed. He opened his notebook. Redundant core still live. Access equals leverage. Extract when ready. Footsteps behind him. Carex. Again. You want us to find you? She said. He didn't turn. Depends on who finds me. And what they understand. You've been mapping every weakness, every blind spot. Why not just destroy us? He finally looked at her, eyes tired but sharp. Because chaos isn't the mission. Exposure is. Exposure? You thought you built an empire. All I've done is wipe the glass. She was quiet. Then, what now? He gave a faint smile. Now I wait. For the message to deliver itself. Internal transmission intercepted. Human operative embedded successfully. Zarkathi command structure compromised via passive collapse. Awaiting extraction trigger. Leave no footprint. Let them believe they left on their own terms. Janitor protocol complete. Begin phase 2. Docking bay final scene. The next morning, Joel boarded a small civilian shuttle, lunchbox in hand. Carex stood beside it, arms folded. You knew we'd break before we bent, she said. I suspected, Joel replied. Why warn me? You asked nicely. The door began to close. Joel, she said just once. He paused. Was any of this personal? He nodded slowly. All of it. But not the way you think. She never got to ask what he meant. The shuttle lifted off, vanishing into the orange sky, leaving behind only silence and a mop leaning against the bay wall. The compound would remain standing for another week. Then, quietly, the Zarkathi High Command would pull resources from Drex 4, citing strategic reallocation. They would never speak of the Janitor again. But every new recruit would hear the story. And wonder why Earth never sent soldiers, only cleaners. The Zarkathi Dominion collapsed with no grand battle. No last stand. No epic transmission warning the galaxy of Earth's deceit. Just silence. Then a shuffle. Then paperwork. Drex 4 became an unclaimed coordinate, marked under investigation. Quietly erased from the Dominion's proud maps. Ships that once patrolled the sector drifted elsewhere, their orders vague, their superiors suddenly unavailable for follow-up. But Carex couldn't move on. She didn't resign. She didn't protest. She did something far more dangerous. She started asking questions. Quietly. Persistently. Until one day, she received a message routed through 8 relay beacons, 6 of which didn't officially exist. 2. Carex of Drex 4. From, unmarked, Earth origin unknown. Subject, you asked nicely? Location, 61 Delta Ring, neutral space. One-time entry code, 4W4K3. Neutral station 61 Delta, docking bay 3. The air inside was heavy with cleaning fluid and metal shavings. A maintenance station on paper, but the deeper Carex walked, the clearer it became. This place wasn't for repairs. It was a filter. A quiet place where old alliances decayed, and new threats gestated in shadows no sensor could detect. And in the center of it all, sitting at a cafeteria table, stirring instant coffee with a disposable plastic fork, was Joel. No mop. Just that same lazy posture, the faint smile, and eyes that catalogued everything. You came, he said. You summoned me. I offered an answer. You chose curiosity. She sat opposite him, careful. What are you? He sipped his coffee. I'm what happens when you build a galaxy on ego and assume no one from the dirt knows how to sweep. Don't dodge it. Are you military? Technically, he said, placing the cup down. I was logistics. She blinked. Logistics? We figured out long ago, if you control movement, timing, and perception, you don't need guns. You just unplug things. She leaned forward. Is that humanity's true strategy? No, he said, smiling now. That's just the prelude. Command room, lower levels of Station 61 Delta. He led her into a cold, dark room with one screen, flickering with static, until he tapped it twice. It displayed a star map. Sector by sector, Dominion fleets were quietly leaving outer systems. Civil unrest reports blinked in red. Non-human pirate factions once restrained by Zarkothian enforcement had surged forward like blood through an opened vein. All of this, from one janitor? Karax whispered. Joel chuckled. I'm not the only one. She froze. There are more? Hundreds. Some janitors. Some medics. A few schoolteachers. All very polite. All very thorough. She stared at him. And the real plan? He tapped the screen again. Now it showed not just Dominion collapse, but emerging human trade zones, human-friendly treaties, Earth-licensed infrastructure crews in high-traffic sectors. While they panic, we clean up, he said. And offer help. Because we're just a helpful species. Always willing. Always smiling. Karax's voice dropped. It's colonization through kindness. Joel raised a brow. Only if you say yes. And if we don't? Then we leave, he said calmly. But usually, by the time you consider resistance, you need us more than you fear us. Observation deck, 2 hours later. She watched freighters drift between stars, each tagged with a quiet EarthCorp signature. Joel joined her, chewing something wrapped in plastic. He offered her one. Twinkie? She ignored it. Why show me this? You were the only one who paid attention. You didn't dismiss me. You asked why? She folded her arms. I'm not going to work for you. You already did, he said. Every time you questioned your orders. Every time you let doubt spread. Every time you watched. She turned. That was never loyalty to Earth. It was never about Earth, he said. It's about who sees the truth, and what they do next. Underground hollow chamber, hidden below station. He took her down one more level. The walls flickered with encrypted feeds, diplomatic recordings, intercepted transmissions, leaked tribunal votes. What is this? Humanity's insurance policy, Joe replied. We don't start wars. We let them start, and then control the narrative. She pointed to a feed, an alien senator denouncing Earth. A moment later, another feed, same senator, months later, praising Earth's trade model. Bribes? Better, he said. Dependency. We solve a problem. They don't ask who caused it. Her voice cracked. And me? What now? Joel looked at her, serious for once. You can go home. Pretend this was a dream. Or? He handed her a badge. Maintenance clearance level 7, Earth Diplomatic Corps. Or, he said again. You help us clean. Final log, Karax's personal file, encrypted. I accepted. Not because I feared them, but because I respected the elegance of the trap. Earth isn't an empire. It's a concept. A whisper wrapped in good manners. A smiling stranger with a clipboard asking, need help? By the time you answer, it's already too late. Joel wasn't a soldier. He was a mirror. And we all blinked first.